has been given in the John Mahama administration. It has been issued to Newmont Goldrich Limited on 19th January 2025, a day before my birthday.
Quite interesting statistics and data, of course, on the Ghana Mining Repository. You can go there as well and check these details that we're sharing with you. Now, the Minister for Land and Natural Resources designate, Emmanuel Amakofibua, has been speaking about this development during his vetting in Parliament today. Listen to what he intends to do when approved.
I have a news item from Joy News, and it says that this was reported on the 24th January 2025. More than 100 mining-related licenses issued in the final week of Akufo-Addo's government. And the reporter is Anthony Menu. Now, if I look at that month, January, you have 1st January 2025, 67 licenses were issued. January 2nd, 11 licenses were issued. January 3rd, 19 licenses were issued. January 6th, in all, you had over 102 licenses issued in just 1 week or 3 weeks, last week of Akufo-Addo's government. I want to ask you, what is your position on the current licensing regime in the small-scale mining sector?
I've already talked about how there's so much duplication in the issue of licenses. I've talked about one individual who will be holding almost 50 licenses because he has not been classified as a large scale and he wants to continue to do mining. So he's doing mining in contiguous area, and if you put it all together, he's probably close to large scale mining. We need to look at this recategorization. We need to do a holistic review of this licensing regime to address the issue you brought about.
Mr. Nominee, will you consider revoking licenses that were acquired without the process or procedure?
Thank you, Chairman.
Please.
I've said that there will be a holistic review of all of these processes. Chairman, we are guided by the law. And what I would do as minister is to make sure that the right things were done according to the law. And so we will make sure that that is done.
Thank you very much. This is a matter of law.
Chairman,
please, you have the floor.
Just the honorable member who just spoke, he alleged that over 100 plus licenses were issued by the Akufo-Addo administration just before they exited. And I was expecting you to either confirm or deny, and you gladly went ahead to answer the question. Would you confirm the data he put out? Did you check? Is that the truth?
The questioner was making reference to a newspaper publication. I do not know whether it is the newspaper publication that you want the nominee to confirm, or what exactly you want the nominee to confirm.
Speaker, I know the mining leases, the Supreme Court ruling, mining leases come to Parliament for Parliament to either approve or otherwise. I don't remember any mining lease of such volume, such mining license of such volume coming to Parliament. So, what were you speaking to? You were allowing yourself for him to mislead you? Is it the case that you were allowing yourself for the honorable member to mislead you? Is that the case? No, let him answer. No, let him answer.
This is Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel Connecting Energies and Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil Enjoy Holy Sleep. Let's broaden this discussion and bring in Al Hassan Soyini. He is ranking on Lands and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament. He joins us, as well as Dr. Ken Ashigbe, is convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Let me start with you, Al Hassan Soyini. So give us an education on what kind of mining lease comes to Parliament and which ones do not come to Parliament?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Good evening and good evening to your listeners. I think I must first of all congratulate the nominee for the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, Honorable Ama Kofi Bua. His competence is not in doubt, and he was brilliant in the way he tackled the questions that were fielded this morning to afternoon when he appeared before the Appointments Committee. And I wish him the very best in office. The minority chief whip was completely wrong when he suggested that because the nominee could not provide information as to whether these licenses came before Parliament, he had no business answering the question the way he did. If you look at our laws, all mining leases, and that is Article 2681, I'm sure, requires government to present all, rights for mining minerals in this country before Parliament for ratification. But over the years, we have never had any of these small-scale mining licenses brought before Parliament. I have, on many occasions, if you check our Hansard, raised that concern on the floor of Parliament and demanded that these licenses be brought for parliamentary ratification. Indeed, I have even gone before to the Supreme Court to demand that the Supreme Court rules on mining operations that were, ongoing in this country without parliamentary ratification. The case has since not been called. Now, I was strengthened to make these calls on the basis of Section 5.4 of the Mining Act, Act 703, where it is clear that all rights for the purposes of mining minerals be brought before Parliament for ratification. Unfortunately, my pleas and my demands never yielded results. You have Section, I think, 5.5, that says that Parliament may, in some cases, waive this ratification for some category of mining licenses that are issued. But I have no record of Parliament ever waiving this right to ratify small-scale mining licenses. So small-scale mining licenses have never really been brought before Parliament for ratification. Now, to the specific question of about 102 mining licenses being, issued in the dying days of Nana Akufo-Addo's government, I must again commend the minister-designate for the assurance that he gave that these, licenses will be reviewed and the processes that led to their issuance will be reviewed. I mean, these are some of the questions that some of us raised in the past, for which, some people thought were personal, but they are not. I mean, how do you, with good conscience, at the times that we have indicated in the report, issue licenses to mining companies when you know you will have no authority to even supervise their operations? Clearly, I don't think that they were done in good faith, and it is within the right of the new minister, as he has suggested, to review those processes. And
But Hassan, a president or a government does not give license to companies with a view that that government will be the one to supervise them. Government is continuum, right? And the law does not really specify that give licenses to people that you will superintend over your period, isn't it?
That is correct, but that is why I refer to good conscience. I mean, where you have the right to do something, you should also at least measure it with the moral turpitude and the conscience that should guide, the decision that you will take, even though you have the right to do it. You must measure it, like I said, against, good conscience. And I am saying that, for example, at the end of the year 2025, when we are counting mining licenses that have been issued by the NDC government, it is very possible that people will miss the fact that these 102, I believe 3 licenses that have been issued were issued before the John Mahama administration came into office. And remember, we are talking about a government that in less than 4 years issued over 2,100 licenses to mining companies. And that issue has been an issue of concern. You have a new government coming into office with the pledge to review those and to ensure that we sanitize the system. And then you burden them with more licenses issued, and the calculation will be done from 2005. Look,
Alassane, on
this note,
okay,
if I could just finish on this note before you come in. If you look at the processes, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources has the final say in the issuance of licenses. So even if you have a license issued on the 19th of January, the question we should be asking ourselves here is, which minister did that? Because on the 19th, the outgoing minister did not have the authority to do that. And President John Dramani Mahama had not appointed any minister at the time. So those are the reasons why it is important that, once again, we commend the minister nominee, the minister designate, and urge him on to review the processes that led to the issuance of these 103 licenses.
On the issue of the 2,000 and over and 37 mining licenses, the Akufo-Addo government campaign on the back of regularizing the small scale mining sector. Is it not the thinking of that government that if we make the licensing quite easy for people, we could then deal with the illegal mining menace, and that's why they did that? Is it wrong for them to have thought that way and to give that many licenses? What really is a challenge with those?
Results and the evidence that we see in our forest reserves, on our water bodies, confirms the fact that it was wrong thinking on their part to indiscriminately issue the licenses the way that they did. The destruction in our forest reserves have not stopped. It has rather increased. The pollution of our water bodies have become worse. The whole ecosystem has been further poisoned by this indiscriminate, issuance of licenses. And that is why, again, I agree with the minister designate when he said that we as a government will look at how to, recategorize the sector where the issuance of small-scale licenses to companies that have the capacity to engage in medium-scale mining become so indiscriminate. Like you have one company being issued about 20 licenses covering different parcels of land at different areas. It is so because the company concerned may have outgrown the purpose for which we set up small-scale mining, and is not also up to the level where it can engage in large-scale mining. And so there's a need to, create that middle ground where companies that have the capacity to, use heavy earth-moving equipment to mine are recategorized. There are parcels of land that will be allocated to them, recategorized, and termed as medium-scale mining with, similar regulations as
the large-scale mining
with large-scale mining.
Okay, stay with me.
We can actually reserve, the other parcels and portions for people who indeed are supposed to be engaged in small-scale mining, where you have the pickaxe, shovel, and other such implements to be used in mining.
Okay, Mr. Suhini, stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Kenneth. So you've been fighting this whole galamsey menace over the years. How was your reaction getting to know that a government within its tenure was able to give more than 2,000 licenses?
Well, thank you very much, Brace. The issue about the number of licenses issued should also be looked at as how much of that are you able to control? How many Mineral Commission workers, EPA workers, do you have to be able to control and monitor and regulate these people? And I agree with Honorable Sweeney that it is the reason why you have the situation you have. The argument has been made that, you want to regularize and make sure as many people. But the point about it is that the number of people that you are going to regularize and put into the system, you should have adequate number of people to be able to regulate them adequately, so that you don't have the situation where some of them, they creep from where they are supposed to be into other that they don't have permission to be, that they are in the water bodies, they are on the buffers of the water bodies. And then you have the challenges that you have, that we currently have with ourselves, where in August, you have the Sechehiman water treatment plant, instead of turbidity of either 500 or 2,000, you're recording 14,000 NTUs in that. And so definitely it is completely unacceptable to continue issuing licenses just because you want to issue them. It would be very important to find out who are the beneficial owners behind these over 100 licenses that were issued in January. And I would have thought that as part of the transitional measures, when the government is leaving power, during the transitional measures, I thought it was agreed that some major decisions were not going to be taken. And one of them would have been the issues of these licenses that have been issued. Who have they been issued to?
Well, so what would be your demand or demands as a body, as a body which is against illegal mining?
So I think one of the first things we want to do is that at some point when, the Ghana Coalition of Galamsey, including all the various religious bodies, labor and all of that got in, we got the government, the president state that they had suspended operationalization of LI 2462. So it will be interesting to find out whether these licenses that were issued, any of them were issued on the back of that obnoxious LI. And, because we know that the Fourth Estate had done some work, and some of the people who had been issued licenses in these forest reserves were people who were politically, exposed people, were some of the people who had been issued these licenses. So I completely agree with the minister designate that it is important to review all of these licenses and do them very transparently. So we find out who have been issued these licenses, who have not been issued these licenses, and those who have not been properly done, we make sure that they are revoked. Bear in mind, in 2016, the NDC on the 28th or 27th of December 2016 also issued the license for the bauxite mining, and that was revoked by the MPP when they came into office. And I think that is important, that when these things are done, they are done transparently, so that the basis on which these licenses are revoked are done according to law. And I'm happy the minister had mentioned that they were going to be done according to law, so that we don't also open ourselves up for any,
judgment
debt. But the important thing also is the fact that, again, and as Honorable Sweeney mentioned, the minister is supposed to have signed off these licenses. And so it will be important to find out whether the minister signed off all those that were done before the 7th of January. And definitely the one for the 19th of January, no minister would have signed that off yet. And then as you look at the licenses that have been issued, it will be good to go and find out whether the EPA also gave them any permits for them to go ahead and mine. And if the EPA did not give them any permits, it gives us an easier way of revoking or revising or reviewing it. But I completely agree with Honorable Sweeney when he talks about the fact that, and I don't know what the MPP, the minority chief whip, when he was talking about whether these licenses had come to Parliament, whether in their 8-year term, how many of the small-scale licenses did they come to Parliament for ratification? It's one of the things that we have been pushing for. The Media Coalition Against Galamsey, one of our partners, Occupy Ghana, kept on also pushing that particular argument, that a lot of these small-scale licenses were illegalities because they had not come to Parliament for ratification. So I'm not too sure what basis he was using to say that because those licenses had not come to Parliament. When Joy News had quoted where the source from which this is coming, from which is the Minerals Commission, why he would have been doubting that was happening. Because in their time, when they were in government, the 8 years, they did not. And so it is important that we go back to that and make sure that we make sure the processes of granting these licenses are rigorous.
I'm grateful.
And they're also transparent.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth. So, what would the committee do when the minister is approved to ensure that these ones are really looked into?
If by the pleasure of the new leadership of Parliament, if I am maintained on that committee and in leadership, I think that we will support the minister to review these licenses according to law as he has assured the people of Ghana, because it's important that we do that. And I think that when His Excellency the President issued that order to the Lands Commission to suspend, the processing of all land leases, perhaps it should have also been captured that some of these licenses that we are now talking about in relation to mining should have also featured in that directive to the Lands Commission, so that the Mineral Commission would not have had any businesses processing these licenses for the minister to issue them before exiting office. And once again, I am concerned that even the 19th one, the one that was issued on the 19th, is attributed to the NDC government, because the fact is that it will be important to know which minister on the 19th signed on to this license or gave the authorization for this license.
Will we see that Will we see in the time of this government that small-scale mining licenses are brought to Parliament? Will you compel the minister to bring those to Parliament?
Absolutely. That is one other, demand that I will not stop making as long as I remain in that committee. I think that it is important that we apply our laws to the latter. And once Act 703, Section 54, requires that all mining licenses be ratified by Parliament, I think that we should do so. And the interesting thing is that 5.5 gives Parliament the chance to waive ratification for some category of licenses. So given practical reasons, if we are convinced as a committee, we can decide to waive them. But until we do so, my position is that all mining licenses, big, small, medium, large, must come before Parliament for ratification, because Parliament represents the forum for the people.
Okay.
Because the people elect their members to the House.
I'm grateful to you. Al-Hassan Souyini is ranking on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament. This has been Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel and Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Up next is Newsnight.
Live from our studios here at Joy 99.7 FM. We're also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Good evening. This is Newsnight. We will deal ruthlessly with illegal miners. Lands Minister Designate talks tough as he pledges to crack down on illegal mining activities and ensure the law allowing mining in forest reserves is repealed.
Illegal mining will not be tolerated. It doesn't matter your political party.
We'll be live in Parliament as eco-conscious civil society organizations pile pressure on President Mahama to declare a state of emergency on forest reserves and river bodies.
Also tonight, water shortage hits parts of the central, western and eastern regions as water level in Ghana Water Company's Setri Human Treatment Plant drops sharply.
Ghana Water Limited in Cape Coast Metropolis is currently facing some challenge with respect to water supply. The same problem that we face in Cape Coast occurs in Sekondi Takrade whenever we get into the dry season. So in Sekondi Takrade, the supply from the Abuasi Water Treatment Plant has also gone down because of the same problem.
Also coming up tonight, over 9,000 students in Nkwanta South Municipality left without education as teachers flee conflict-inflicted area for fear of harm, forcing some public and private schools to remain shut weeks after the latest clash that claimed some 5 lives.
We have 9,237 of the students, the learners, also not reporting to school. As we speak now, as of today, our doors have been opened, but the pupils are not in school.
And will he return to the noble medical profession tonight? 2024 NPP vice presidential candidate speaks on his next career move.
Life continues. I was somewhere before I came in, and now somewhere after I've left. Life continues.
And coming up in sports,
24 teams to discover their opponents in the next few hours at the 2025 AFCON final draw, with Ghana's Black Stars noticeably absent.
Details of these and many other stories coming up tonight. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
I'm Fostina, Sarfo.
Details after this.
Reasons why we connect each child. It not be say we won't make one our loved ones happy.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That be my daughter Angela.
Meba Kojo, I sure why tea cash naba. I know Papa Yina was sick.
Say I go take care of my parents. It be my duty. Say make her pay my bills. I dey use Telecel cash. The suppliers for my shop there.
Hello boss, I get a Telecel cash alert too. They deliver the things right here.
I dey make them happy because I fit pay them directly to my merchant number for any network talk. Then sort my people out with Telecel cash for free.
If one a family parties, then business partners they happy. It be they make one a connection strong. Carry Telecel cash, send money, give your people for them a Telecel cash wallet store. Any day, anytime. It be free. Make you save money. Tap cool. Then make your menace smile. Anytime you go carry Telecel cash, send them money.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, tonight, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Designate Emmanuel Amakofibua has assured that there will be no new mining activities in forest reserves if his appointment is approved. President John Dramani Mahama, during his 2024 campaign, pledged to protect the nation's forest reserves by ending mining activities within these ecological sensitive areas. While taking his turn before the Appointments Committee of Parliament, Mr. Amakofibua said one of his first priorities in office will be to work towards the repealing of LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves.
The first thing I'll do when I'm giving the nod, and the president has already indicated publicly, is that I'll come to this house to make sure we repeal LI 2462, to make sure that there will be no new mining in forest reserve. That will be the starting point. Once we do that, then we heal the process and make sure that biodiversity and ecological life is returned to our forests, and our degraded lands will be restored with the initiatives of Tree for Life and Restore Ghana to make sure that our forests are restored again.
The minister designate also vowed to take decisive action against anyone who flouts the law by engaging in illegal mining.
And I'm not here to talk about political platforms. I'm here to talk about solving serious problems that confront the people of Ghana. I'm here because I know where President Mohammed's heart is. I know it through the policies he has espoused. I know the things he has said that has given him the mandate of the people of Ghana. And I'm here to tell the people of Ghana that the new government is committed to ensuring that there will be no new mining in forest reserved. The new government is committed to make sure that we protect our water bodies with new initiatives. The new government is going to make sure that we reclaim our degraded lands and give a pathway to help individuals who want to be in mining to do it legally with the support of government. But we will ruthlessly deal with anybody who decides that he will not follow the law. Illegal mining will not be tolerated. It doesn't matter your political party.
Well, so that's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Designate Amakofibua when he appeared before the Appointment Committee earlier today. He also hinted at decentralizing the process for acquiring the license to mine in parts of the country.
We are where we are because, in my view, a lot of the attempts at addressing some of the issues failed because of some of the points I'm bringing. I come from a mining district. And so I can tell you that number one of the interventions we are going to do is to change the approach. One will be community engagement in a different way. How do we get the community to really be part of this fight? We are going to start a very genuine and transparent approach by first making sure that the people in the areas where mining occurs understand that the destiny of their area is in their hands. And we are going to give them that respect and empower them, working with them to give them the support. The processes for getting a license sometimes is so cumbersome and so long. Of course, but to decentralize these services, to allow these communities who now know that if you want to do legal mining, this is the channel. You can even do it at the comfort of your computer and register. I'm very happy that the Minerals Commission is making progress with digitalizing some of these services. Now, having done that, we also need to go further. The NDC has said in its manifesto that we are going to recategorize mining. As we speak, it's small scale and large scale. And guess what? We can have one person with 30 licenses doing mining small scale, which requires you to do it in a 25-acre land. And then you do one small scale here. Contiguously, if you put it together, you are doing large scale. But we don't have the classification for a medium scale mine. So that makes supervision very difficult. And that is why we are saying that we're going to recategorize mining, create cooperatives, and then create what we call the gold board, which will really be the support system for this cooperative mining, providing support, providing assistance, working with the universities to bring geologists and experts to be in the same location.
Well, let's take you live to Parliament now, where a number of ministers designate have appeared before the Appointments Committee to face their vetting and speak to our resident correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, give us a wrap of what has been happening at today's vetting.
Well, a total of 4 persons have been vetted. The last person for today is currently being vetted as we speak. That is Donatus Atanga, the Upper East Regional Minister designate. He's taking questions on Boko. And he's offering his assurances that when he gets the nod to become the minister, he will engage with the warring factions in that particular region, some of them spilling over to the Northeast region, to get to the point where they can come and sit around the table. He hopes that by the time he leaves office, some of these issues will have been trashed out. He has an interesting story because he has been the NDC Regional Secretary for 27 years. In fact, it's in his 28th year, and is the longest serving of any political party in the country. And the members, particularly of the NDC from the Upper East region, who have all come around the table, have expressed their confidence that he will be able to do the job. And in fact, he has been talking about the idea that he has led the NDC to win all 15 seats in that particular constituency. And so he expects that he's going to do really well in that role. And Boko has been the centerpiece of that. There are very final questions that are being asked of him currently in the committee, and then he'll be done for the day. But before he came, there was Ibrahim Tia, also the minister designate for the Northeast region. He responded to questions about armed robbery in the region, about poor roads, and gave a broader idea about what he intends to do together with colleagues in the government to ensure that they deliver on the mandate that the Ghanaian people have given John Dramani Mahama. And then there has also been Dr. Frank Abuakumhine from the Ashanti region, and he came with a very packed delegation from the Ashanti region, including the Mampohima, as well as former Attorney General Betty Modi Drisu, party stalwarts, the current Ashanti region chairman of the NDC. According to Dr. Mwaponhine, he intends to really harness the energy of the Ashanti region, which is the second most populous region in the country. He's spoken about how poor roads, in particular at the center of Greater Kumasi, have been stopping the ability of the region to be able to generate itself as economic hub. And so he intends to work on the specifics of the road. And he's also been assuring that despite the fact that he's a very young person, in fact, he's 34, John Dramani Mahama has appointed 42 persons so far. He's the youngest of that cohort, 34 years, and going to work in a region where you have very huge and influential traditional leaders like the two for himself. He says he's going to take the advice of all these traditional leaders, work with the relevant groups and stakeholders to be able to do their work. And so that is the situation with the 4 persons that have been vetted so far. We are yet to get confirmation as to which specific nominees will be vetted tomorrow because the schedule of the committee has been revised. But from what I'm picking up, Edward Omani-Boama is very likely that the Minister for Defense designate will take his stand before the committee together with Emmanuel Kojo, Kenneth, Gilbert, and then Linda Obenua Akweli Oklu of the Greater Accra region. So that is the situation, Kenneth.
Okay, a quick question to there, bringing us updates on what has transpired so far in Parliament today.
Well, Ken, it's a good time to bring in Darrell Bones, who is Deputy National Director for Arocha Ghana. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight. I also have with me Abraham Kumsin, his Secretary General of the Ghana Federation of Labour. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight. I'll start with Darrell. We've been hearing from the Lands Minister designate, serve notice that he'll be working with Parliament to ensure that they repeal LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserve. Are you pleased?
Good evening to you, and really happy to be here. I have to say that it was reassuring to hear the minister designate talk about his commitment to see the LI reviewed. I think that's what he said, and that's something we have also very keen on. So it's good to hear that he agrees, or to a certain extent, they agree that that law has a problem and must be repealed to safeguard the integrity of our forest reserve. So we are very excited to hear him say that, and we are ready to work with him. I think the previous government initiated a process to the Ministry of Environment. We want to see how they also will quickly take steps to ensure that whether it's a review or repeal, it is successfully done as soon as possible. So that's really very assuring, and we are ready to engage to make sure that that is done and done well.
One thing that came up tonight during the vetting was concerns raised about mining licenses issued during the last few days of the Akufo-Addo-led administration. Between 1st of January to 6th of January alone, 102 different mining leases were granted. And in fact, on the 1st of January, which was actually a holiday, 67 different mining licenses were actually issued. And this is worrying to you, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's been very worrying getting to know about this development. But also, I think that in looking at it, let's ask ourselves, these mining leases for actual companies to go and mine, or some of them are also services that are provided to mining companies. So I think we need to get to the details of it. But if that is the nature of the way mining leases were issued, just at the last minute when they know they were out of office, then that is quite unfortunate. And that's what I've always said, that previous government did not really prioritize the concerns of citizens when it comes to mining. And we don't want to see the new administration also make the same mistakes. I mean, we should let the past be a thing that we'll never repeat and look forward to more decisive action in addressing Galamsey. We can't let what happened in the previous administration happen this time around.
Let me bring in Abraham Kumsin at this point in time, because we're just learning that in the last days of the Akufo-Addo-led administration, over 102 licenses were issued out. Now, should we consider reviewing these licenses from where you sit?
I think our problem has to do with the destruction of the forest reserves and then the pollution of water bodies and all that. If the licenses are controlled and they make sure that they do a good job, they don't destroy forest reserves, they don't destroy the water bodies, I don't think that we have any issue. Once they are doing good work and they have been licensed to do that, we don't have issues. But the problem has to do with these galamseyers, these guys who don't care about what happens to our, the rivers. That's the problem. And also the destruction of the forest. That's the problem. But if you are going to issue a license to anybody who you think that there must be proper, assessment, whoever is going to be given the license, to make sure that there are controls. They are in Parliament. They make the laws. So if we make laws that will allow people to mess the whole environment up, I think it is up to them. They want to repeal the laws, because laws are made for human beings to regulate our behavior.
We've been hearing from the Lands Minister designate earlier today. He has served notice that he'll be working in Parliament to ensure that they repeal LI 2464, which allows mining in forest reserve. I know that last year you waged war against illegal mining, and that was one of the key concerns you raised. Are you pleased?
Yes, that is great. They should look at it and make sure that they don't give out license to people who will not care about the environment, who are about destroying forests and that sort of thing. Well, that is them. They are there. They are in Parliament. And they know the right thing for us. We have given them the mandate to do the right things. If they will be there and be condoning in this kind of activities, it is up to them. But I think that this time around, I'm sure that they will sit up and do the right thing for this country.
Right. Mr. Kupson, would you give any timelines? Because we do recall when Labour met with the president last year, that's former President Akufo-Addo, he did indicate that he had listened to your plea and that he was going to repeal that LI. That never saw the light of day. Now we get a new assurance from the new minister designate. Do you believe that this is going to be done? And are you giving him any timelines?
No, he is being vetted. Let him go through this. Let the Parliament pass them, and then after that, we'll engage. We'll book an appointment with him and discuss these issues. Certainly, and I don't think that this government will allow any minister to behave the way the previous administration behaved. So I'm sure that they will be committed. At least they have learned their lessons. The voting pattern, which got these people out from office, they are aware of it. So if they don't conduct themselves well, they will face the same fate. And so I think that I have belief and I trust that this administration will do the right thing to make sure that our forest reserves are not destroyed. Cocoa, even for now, look at the problem that we are facing with the cocoa industry. So all we want is that they put in place measures that will deal with people who engage in these illegal things. And as I said, we will engage him as soon as he's passed. We will book an appointment with him and meet with him and see how best we can also support.
Thank you, Abraham Kumsin. Now, let me wrap up with Daryl. Do you think at this point it's necessary to declare a state of emergency? Because the minister failed to talk about that today during his vetting. But from where you sit, do you feel we should still declare a state of emergency?
Yes, I think this we need to come to a point where even if we are not ready for a state of emergency because we think that the new government is still putting its house in order, we need to at least come out with a cease and desist order so that everybody on the ground, everybody in the field is aware of the government's position on Galamsey. Because what we have seen happen now is that a lot of the people are forcibly going to concessions, both legal and illegal, and purporting to be claiming to be coming from this government administration or supporters group, and so they are taking over some of these mining areas by force, and it's leading to several clashes, sometimes fatalities, and this is what we must avoid. And I think that it is coming about because the government, since they took office, has been very silent on what they see as their posture to the impunity going on, and until they do that, we are going to see this issue continue as it is. So a state of emergency, even if we are not ready for it, should not be left. We shouldn't be on the quiet. There should be a cease and desist order. And then as we go on, maybe the government comes out with a moratorium to ensure that everybody stops mining so that we can put our house in order and get things done properly. We cannot be silent as it is now and let the impunity continue with as we are seeing all over the country now.
Thank you, Daryl Bonsu. He is Deputy National Director, Arocha,
Right.
Ghana. Earlier we spoke to Abraham Kumsin, Secretary General, Ghana Federation of Labour.
Right, Fostina, from illegal mining, let's talk about a Greg because the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, has promised to increase agric production to cut down on food importation. Now, currently, Ghana imports most of its onions and tomatoes from neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. And in a bid to tackle the situation, the Agric Minister, Eric Opoku, is currently on a working tour of the various agencies and departments under his ministry to find a cure to the challenges. We will bring you details of that tour shortly, but first, listen to the minister address staff of the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate at Pokuase.
We have decided to use agriculture as the engine for economic transformation in this country. Our belief is that with agriculture, we can create jobs for the teeming youth of our nation. With agriculture, we can even arrest the challenges facing us in respect of the exchange rate, which is also affecting the entire economy. So agriculture can stabilize the Ghanaian economy, rake in more forests, stabilize the city, and then generate jobs for a lot of people in our country. And agriculture can never be successful without the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate. And that is the more reason why I'm here today. I want to understand you, you understand me, and then after this engagement, I will meet the core leaders of this group in the office, and then we'll discuss the programs that we have, fine-tune all the strategies so that we can carry everybody on board. We must all understand the fact that there is a responsibility placed on us. Ghanaians out there expect us, not me alone, all of us, to make sure that we drive our nation towards food sufficiency. It is unfortunate and unacceptable that a country like Ghana, with all the agricultural endowments that we have, we are still importing onion, we are importing pepper, we are importing tomato from Burkina Faso. Every peso that is expended on the importation of these items create jobs in those countries. And so if you want jobs for our children, if you want jobs for our grandchildren, for our siblings, our neighbors, our relatives, what we must do is to produce more here so that that money will stay here and create the jobs for our people. And that is the responsibility.
Right, so that's the Agric Minister, Eric Opoku there. My colleague, James Aveji, has been on tour with him all morning. He's joined me in the studio with more. James, apart from the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate, where else did you go with the Agric Minister and what has he been saying?
Yes. So this is just day one of the 3-day tour. He's also been to the Statistics Research and Information Directorate, the Human Resource Management, Agric Extension Directorate, as well as the Directorate for Crop Research Services. Now, this, according to him, is to give him first-hand information on the work of all of these directorates, agencies, and departments under the ministry to help him take decisive actions on how he can, together with the president fulfillment of the president vision, reset the Agric Ministry and the employees. So you see that environment of tete-a-tete between him and the employees, where he's giving them the opportunity to tell him their challenges, issues like land encroachment, as well as welfare issues and financial issues, were some of the key things that the staff took the opportunity to put before him to address for them in the next 4 years that he'll be staying in office.
Okay, and James, he has also been speaking about sabotage. What really is it?
So this is a stern warning that has featured in all of the engagement with all of these directorates that we've visited. He says that the elections are over now, and advising the staff to hang their political jacket, in his own words, and that any of them who are NPP, who are whichever political parties, in times like this, they would want to work to sabotage the work of the minister in extension of government. His advice is that anyone who would want to do some of these things to sabotage his work, he will not hesitate to expel them from the ministry and their position. In all, it is the clarion call for all staff to come together to help him realize his vision and that of the President John Dramani Mahama to increase production, which will go a long way to cut down on taxes and import duties as well as the exchange rate. And so those are the key issues that has been coming up today. Tomorrow, we'll start from Nungwa and to other places that you'll be visiting on day 2.
Indeed, James Aveji there, who has followed the Food and Agric Minister Eric Opoku all day.
Well, you're still listening to News Night. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM. You can share your thoughts with us on 055-1111-997. It's time now for business, and George Weafi joins me in the studio. George, what's up?
Well, coming up in business, Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana keeps policy rate at 27% as it awaits more economic data before taking a decision on reviewing that key lending rate to commercial banks. And Minister for Lands, Natural Resources designate Emmanuel Amakufibua announces government resolve to ensure that Ghana is not shortchanged in any mining agreement. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Center Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Yafini gave us the vibe. Now, Inshona Chile makes you thrive.
Yes, so it's time to enjoy, Charlie. Buy or renew your motor insurance and boom! Free fuel coupons and airtime for your sweat. Who no like enjoyment?
From January to June 2025, Enterprise Insurance gives you more reasons to smile on the road. Insure today and enjoy free fuel coupons for your car and airtime for your phone.
Free fuel? Airtime too? Hey! Enterprise Insurance, always your advantage.
Insure not Chile. It's simple. Insure and enjoy. Ready to secure your peace of mind and experience the fastest claims payment? Visit any of our branches or agency outlets nationwide. Connect with your insurance broker or enjoy the convenience of buying your insurance online through the Enterprise Advantage app today. Terms and conditions apply.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Dear Chatwo, a son say your bush and yes from Quintino. You can't say ye Pepsodent, you didn't also a can your money home.
Hey, wohu, we could hear wo, no he wole, was share, nana no ne, whatever.
Hey, Ampo,
Odinda so. Inga menaye. Ehfa na yesi benya yedie.
Once so bet me do jinga to President Ebusia Park no so. But we busia se ho ban mo ho du. For we ni chere so to e ben wo na kopto wo President Ebusia Park. FDA achedi enkrato yatomu.
This Valentine's Day, the stars are lining up to give you that ultimate love experience. Prepare for an evening of total romance as KBKB Music and Image Bureau presents the highly anticipated Vitamilk Love Night 2025. 7 p.m. on Friday, February 14 at the Grand Arena. Come, feel the magic of high life as Kwabna sets the tone for his special 20th anniversary tickets selling now for only 300 Ghana Cedis single or 500 Ghana Cedis double at *714*1010# or visit vitamilklovenight.com. Make the night even more special by reserving a table for 2, 4 or more by calling 055-110-3393 to book now. Media partners, Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has kept its key lending rate to commercial banks unchanged, left it at 27% of the meeting to review development in the economy over the past 2 months. Earlier on, I put together a report development in terms of the press conference held by the Bank of Ghana to highlight some key developments in the economy. Speaking at a news conference at the new head office of the Bank of Ghana, popularly known as the Bank Square, Governor Dr. Ernest Addison noted that despite inflation rate being under control, a lot more data is needed.
This is the most important message from this MPC discussions, and the reason why the policy rate is being kept where it is for now, because by March we'll get a better sense of the policy agenda.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has also been giving some reasons why the debt stock has been going down since October last year.
The decline in the public debt of 24 billion is not that significant anyway, but it shows that the extent of public borrowing has declined slightly, that we have reported for.
The governor also announced that they are optimistic about inflation. Now, the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, noted that if the current administration should stick to the targets under the IMF program and press ahead with the fiscal consolidation initiatives, then we should be assured that the Ghana cedi will remain stable going forward.
Our forecasters are saying that instead of reaching the single digit by the first quarter of 2026, the forecast suggests that we will do that in the second quarter of 2026. Of course, all of that is predicated on the economic policy agenda, which is yet to be, crafted.
And that is the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison ending that report there. And the Bank of Ghana has started operating from its new headquarters at Ridge here in Accra, popularly known as the Bank Square. We understand that some departments are already operating from that structure. Even the Bank of Ghana held its Monetary Policy Committee meetings from the structure that is at Ridge here in Accra. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Fostina has called for urgent measures to optimize Ghana's gold benefit. Now, speaking at the inauguration of a technical committee for the Gold Board initiative in Accra, Fostina stressed the importance of strategic reforms to enhance the management of the country's gold resources.
Time has come for Ghana to expand beyond royalties and taxes. This involves the optimizing every stage of the value chain, from extraction to refinery, value addition and marketing, both locally and internationally. The Ghana Gold Board will serve as a specialized agency to ensure effective marketing of Ghana's gold resources. This will involve the implementation of a deliberate program, formalize gold trading from a small-scale mining industry, and promote traceability with the aim of enhancing international acceptability of gold from the Republic of Ghana.
And that is the Minister of Finance, Dr. Fostina. Now, the Minister of Land and Natural Resources designate, that is Emmanuel Amakofibua, has resolved to ensure that Ghana is not shortchanged in any mining agreement. He has also outlined a series of measures to deal with galamsey, including setting up of water guards to protect Ghana's water bodies from further destruction. Here's a wrap of today's vetting by my colleague Isaac Atasenyako.
Emmanuel Amakofibua, Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, emphasized his vision to prioritize adding value to Ghana's natural resources. To make Ghana a preferred destination for the extractive sector, he expressed his readiness to review certain requirements if it would yield the utmost benefit to the country. The MP for Elembele constituency also assured the House of improving monitoring of the export of gold and other minerals to curb the issue of trade value differences. He further promised to apply sanctions and ensure the proper extraction of Ghana's natural resources to deal with the galamsey menace. Additionally, Mr. Amakofibua assured the House of embarking on a massive reforestation drive to increase Ghana's chances of attracting green and climate funding. On one of the legacies he would like to leave as a minister, here is what he had to say.
I want to be remembered as a minister that finally got large-scale mining companies to finally bridge the gap between these companies and the communities in which they operate.
And that is the Land and Natural Resources Minister Designate Emmanuel Amakofibua, ending that report put together by my colleague Isaac Atase Nyako. Now, Chairperson of the Association of Charter Certified Accountant Network in Ghana, Kenneth Nobokal Dodel Arose, has stressed the need for chartered accountants to uphold ethics and professionalism. He made the call in Accra after 100 chartered accountants were inducted.
It is an event where we take the opportunity not only to celebrate them for the hard work done, but to acknowledge their qualification and to remind them of the values by which we are trained. ACCA lives by very high standards of professionalism and ethics, and we have certain professional standards that our members are supposed to live by, so that they are not just ordinary accountants, but they are chartered accountants, meaning that their qualification puts them to a higher level of performance, ethics, and obligation to a set of rules and regulations that you cannot drop off.
And you had the chairperson of the Association of Charter Certified Accountants Network in Ghana, Kenneth Nobokal Dodel Arose there. Now, before we go, the World Bank Board of Directors today approved a landmark investment program to bolster regional power system integration, enhance energy security, and as well as make it more affordable for those in the low-income bracket. The 1.6 billion multi-phase funding would actually also ensure that the West African Electricity Market Program, supported by the International Development Agency, will address critical electricity needs for households in Ghana here. And Ghana is supposed to be, or is expected to be, a beneficiary of this $1.6 billion that is approved by the World Bank today to support certain countries in the West African region. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Let's do some sports. My colleague, my brother.
Let's go straight into the stories. And Ghana are noticeable absentees at the ongoing AFCON 2025 draw in Morocco as the Black Stars failed to qualify for the competition for the first time in 20 years. The event will review the group stage opponent for 24 teams competing for Africa football's most coveted trophy. Host nation Morocco returning to host the AFCON for the first time since 1988. We're looking to capitalize on their home advantage. The Atlas Lions, riding high on their historic 2022 FIFA World Cup semi-final run, are amongst the favourites. Defending champions Cote d'Ivoire are also eyeing back-to-back triumphs after lifting on home soil just a year ago. Senegal, the 2021 winners, led by coach Papi Thiaw, are equally determined to make history. Meanwhile, underdogs like Botswana returning to the AFCON for only the second time since 2012, and Comoros looking to replicate that surprise 2021 campaign, bring a unique edge to the competition. Pot 1 for the draw will see Morocco, Senegal, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire in that pot. Pot 2 will see Cameroon, Mali, Tunisia, South Africa, DRC, and Burkina Faso. Pot 3 includes Gabon, Angola, Zambia, Uganda, Equatorial Guinea, and Benin. And pot 4 has Mozambique, Comoros, Tanzania, Sudan, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much for bringing us the latest in sports. Let's now take you to the OT region, where over 9,000 students in the Nkwanta South municipality of that region are losing out on getting formal education as their teachers flee the area due to the latest conflict that claimed lives, including that of children, weeks ago.
Well, 24 public schools and 18 private schools in the area have been forced to close down. The Nkwanta South Municipal Director of Education, Jonathan Fostina, says the situation has become increasingly dire, prompting over 500 public teachers to flee to safer locations, fearing for their safety amid tensions in the area.
We have 9,237 of the students, the learners, also not reporting to school. As we speak now, as of today, our doors have been opened, but the pupils are not in school. We've also assured our teachers in those communities that if they feel insecure, they should quickly put it in writing so that we can repost them to places where we can ensure or they themselves feel comfortable to work. This is not the first time this is happening, and we've given hope to our teachers to return several times. Now, the situation is that it is the community leaders who are supposed to give this assurance. So once the community leaders cannot give the teachers assurance, we are not going to force any teacher to go to that community. It means the community doesn't want schools to exist today. And once schools are not there, no teacher is going there. We have to be very serious on this issue. We will not subject any of our teachers to a uncomfortable situation or to go into such stressful situation in those communities. If the community leaders feel that their community is safe for a teacher to be there, they should come and give that assurance. And we are very, very serious on that.
While on this subject, because the Member of Parliament for Nkwanta South, Jeffrey Kinney, has also directed the Education Directorate and parents to refrain from rushing back to school until peace is fully restored in the area.
We all know that Nkwanta South is in trouble. It's not safe for now. And if it's not safe in now, we don't have to compel our children to forcefully attend school. All we need to do is to come together. Stakeholders must come together. We should be prepared to make peace ourselves. Once peace reigns, I think that the door will open for our children to continue with their activities. Not only with school, but with all government institutions that are in Nkwanta. I think that once we are able to build peace, they will resume, government activities will resume as well.
While the Ghana Water Company is struggling to supply adequate water to Cape Coast and other parts of Secondary Takoradi due to a significant drop in water levels at the Setri Himang and Dabwasi treatment plants, the situation, they say, is largely attributed to the ongoing dry weather conditions and pollution of the country's rivers. And they say that has severely impacted residents in the affected communities, compelling the company to ration water.
Well, Fostina Nana Yalberima, who is the corporate communication manager for the Ghana Water Company in the Western and Central regions, explained the situation to Joy News.
Ghana Water Limited in Cape Coast Metropolis is currently facing some challenge with respect to water supply. The same problem that we face in Cape Coast occurs in Secondary Takoradi whenever we get into the dry season. So in Secondary Takoradi, the supply from Dabwasi Water Treatment Plant has also gone down because of the same problem. There are two treatment plants that supply water to Cape Coast Metropolis in the Central region. We have the Brimso Water Treatment Plant and the Sachahiman Water Treatment Plant. We abstract raw water from the Pra River for treatment at Sachahiman Water Treatment Plant. And we also we abstract raw water from the Kakum River for treatment at the Brimsu Water Treatment Plant. Currently, the main challenge is with the Sechehiman water treatment plant. Because it is not raining now, and therefore no fresh inflows of water come into the river basin at Sechehiman, the river level currently has gone very low. And because the river level is very low, we are not able to abstract enough raw water for treatment at Sechehiman. So we are facing a similar challenge. But here, what we are doing is to do what you call rationing. We have divided Takoradi metropolis into two. We have the Takoradi South and Takoradi North. So we serve a particular district, say Takoradi North, for 4 days. Then after 4 days, we shift our attention to Takoradi South and also serve that district for 5 days because of the volume of water that they require.
Well, the company has, however, announced plans to dredge the Source River to improve water flows. Nanaya Oberma indicated that the dredging period should not last more than 3 days to avert the water challenges in the region.
The solution that we have at hand is to dredge the intake of the Sechehiman water treatment plant. By dredging, we are scooping the silt that has accumulated at the intake so as to make room for water to come into the intake for abstraction by the low lift pumps. Once we scoop away all the silt that has accumulated at the intake, we are able to increase our abstraction and therefore supply. So we had a challenge. Therefore, the supply reduced from 18,000 cubic meters of water to 9,000 cubic meters of water. But from today, because we have been able to resolve the challenge that we had at that treatment plant, from today, we are able to restore supply to 18,000 cubic meters of water. That is at Brimso. So once the challenge, the problem at Brimso has been resolved, and we are also going to do the dredging at Sechehiman, we should be able to bridge the gap between demand and supply to a very large extent. It might not solve the entire supply problem, but there will be a significant improvement in the supply to the metropolis. So I'm not sure from, say, next week, we are still going to have that pronounced difficulty that people face as far as accessing potable water.
Well, let's head to Kenya now, where President John Mahama has warned that the African Union's over-reliance on foreign partners compromises its independence and its ability to set its own agenda. He's calling on the AU to expedite efforts towards achieving financial independence.
Well, speaking at a high-level retreat on African Union institutional reforms held in Kenya's State House in Nairobi, President John Dramani Mahama stressed the need for the AU to, among others, also focus on conflict resolution and counter-terrorism.
Efficiency must be the guiding principle in how we conduct our affairs, ensuring that our policies and programs translate into real change for our people. We must adopt mechanisms that prioritize accountability, transparency, and value for money, ensuring that every resource is maximized for the benefit of the African people. Your Excellencies, one of the fundamental pillars of reform is AU's financial autonomy. The over-reliance on external partners for funding compromises the organization's independence and ability to set its own agenda. The implementation of the Kigali decision on financing the union must be expedited. A self-reliant African Union is not just a vision we have, it is an imperative to achieve.
Right, let's still stay in Kenya and bring in our presidential affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba, who is at the retreat at Kenya's State House. Maxwell, first of all, can you tell us about this retreat and its purpose, and what else has President Mahama been saying?
Well, Ken, there's been a lot of calls for reforms in the African Union to make it effective and efficient in dealing with the continent's issues. The call for EU reforms was first made in 2016 when African leaders observed the urgent need, stated the urgent need to restructure the organization to better the challenges that we face here in Africa. Now, there were 5 priority, areas. Key amongst them is structural and operational review. There's the need to review the structure and operations of the AU. make the AU more effective, and then sustainable financing, which is at the core of some of the discussions, that the organization must implement sustainable financing mechanisms to reduce its over-reliance on development partners. Now, President Ruto, who's the Kenyan president, was selected as the African Union champion for institutional reform in February 2024. So this retreat or this conference is to help him to update his fellow heads of states on what the progress has been so far. And at today's event, we had the president of Comoros, we had the president of Ethiopia, we had the president of Guinea-Bissau. Of course, Ghana's president, John Mahama, was there together with other African leaders. Now, other things that John Mahama has been talking about, he urged African Union members to prioritize appointing more women and youth to leadership roles at all levels of governance. And he gave our vice president, Professor Nana Kojo, a shout out and said she's she's Ghana's first female vice president. And this drew applause from the audience.
Your Excellencies, without peace, there can be no development. The AU must strengthen its capacity to prevent, mediate, and resolve conflicts. This includes adequately resourcing the African Standby Force and leveraging partnerships to address emergency threats such as terrorism, cybercrime, and climate-induced displacements. Indeed, this is very important for us, especially in West Africa, considering the challenge we face from terrorism. Africa's future lies in its youth. Over 60% of our population is under the age of 25, and yet their voices are largely absent in policymaking. We must institutionalize frameworks that empower our young people and our women to lead at all levels of governance. And I'm happy to report that in the last election, for the first time in Ghana's history, we elected a woman as our vice president. The energy of our youth, creativity, and vision are the drivers of the Africa that we all seek to build.
Right, Maxwell, briefly, President Mahama has also been saying that we must address the barriers to trade on the continent. Tell us more, briefly.
Well, some of the people at the conference who I've been speaking to are particularly impressed with Kenya, especially when it comes to M-Pesa in Kenya and other East African countries, and the efforts, towards making the act, successful. Well, President Mahama said that the African Union has to do more to ensure that it removes all the trade barriers that exist, within the continent, so we can progress.
The African Continental Free Trade Area has set the foundation for a single African market, but much work remains to be done. We must address the barriers to trade, we must harmonize regulatory framework and invest in infrastructure to unlock the potential of intra-African trade. Additionally, the AU must champion technological innovation and digital transformation as catalysts for economic growth and inclusion. And in this, we wish that the African payment system that allows us to pay seamlessly for goods traded between our countries is expedited so that we can have a system of exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, none of these reforms will succeed without committed leadership at every level of the African Union. We as heads of states and governments have a duty to lead by example, to prioritize the collective good of our people over our parochial interests, and to act decisively in the interest of our continent. But leadership does not end with us. The Union must foster partnerships with civil society, the private sector, and the African diaspora, whose contributions are vital in shaping and implementing reforms. This is a shared responsibility, and together we can achieve the African Union we all envision.
Well, it's time to put our community heroes under the spotlight again. The Joy News Impact Makers Award 2025 is just around the corner, Ken, and it's time to celebrate those extraordinary individuals making an impact in your community. Well, we have a report by Elsie Asiedwa.
It has been more than a family. We are grateful for the publicity almost on daily basis on Joy News. This mileage has gone a long way to sustain and increase our impact across the country.
We apologize for that poor sound quality. We'll bring you that report in subsequent bulletin. But Ken, just before we leave the studio, we've been receiving a lot of messages, but we'll be reading that shortly. Now, social media, though seen as a tool for empowerment and connection, but for women and girls, these platforms are increasingly becoming spaces for fear and hostility. According to UN Women, a startling 45% of female users on Facebook and Twitter are reported to have experienced online abuse. Among them are cyber stalking, hate speeches, and threats.
Forcing many of self-censor or totally withdraw. Now, UN Women find the trend alarming and advocates the institution of legislations, particularly in Africa, to stem it. The following report has more.
At a recent media forum on combating violence against women and girls in Dakar, Senegal, policymakers, traditional leaders and journalists gathered to discuss this growing concern. Organized by Ramapsin with support from UN Women and France Française Muskoka, the forum highlighted online gender-based violence as a critical barrier to women's participation in public and professional life. Regional Program Coordinator Angela Muruli of UN Women outlined some underlying factors accounting for the phenomenon.
The main underlying themes are the accessibility of digital spaces, the anonymity that's linked with digital spaces, but also the social norms that our society have and how people view women and girls.
Globally, studies paint a grim picture. A report by Plan International found that 58% of women and girls have faced online harassment. In Africa, these challenges are compounded by limited digital literacy and weak legal protections.
Now, away from cyberbullying, the 2024 vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, says he does not plan on returning to medical practice in spite of his party's loss at the just-ended general elections.
Oh, indeed, Ken. You know that before assuming office as MP for Menchia South, Opoku Prempeh worked as a medical doctor and even served as member of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons in the United Kingdom from the year 1919 to 2003. But in a viral footage on social media, this is what he plans to do next.
But anyway, how is life after politics, after parliament and after the elections?
Life continues. Life continues. I was somewhere before I came in, and now somewhere after I've left.
Are you going back to the hospital?
No.
Why? Because we saw you.
That life is past.
Oh, how? Because when the thing happened during the Sona, they commended for your swift move to salvage the situation. So we're thinking maybe you were just rehearsing to going back to the hospital.
That is a skill that I've acquired. I keep it.
You are one of the people who usually get talked about on social media a lot.
Why?
It looks like everybody likes you. So when you talk, people like you.
Then the problem. If everybody likes you, it's a problem. That's what the Bible says. Beware when people speak good of you.
Do you get a chance to read sentiments and what people say on social media?
Fortunately, I'm not on social media that much. So I leave them to enjoy the space.
So
I cannot be everywhere.
I understand, but sometimes, some of these sentiments people express, maybe some come from a good place and they want to evaluate them and then try to take them into action.
I cannot be everywhere, so some people do work on other things.
So you don't get to know what happens on your socials, the comments?
I get to be briefed. I keep it.
Well, it's time to leave the studios, but you've been sharing with us your messages. Let me read one of them. And this is coming from Spintex. Nana from Spintex. He says, was clear to Ghanaians that Nanado didn't care about the ordinary Ghanaian. But how could he issue so many mining licenses to aggravate our current illegal mining situation?
That's quite fascinating. And this one also says, whoever wants to sabotage any government official under John Mahama's administration, we will flush them out of offices. This is coming from Philip Abuchi in Keta. But that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
I am Fostina. Sarfo. Good evening.